The night was pitch black, the moon hidden behind a thick blanket of clouds. Rain hammered relentlessly on the windshield of my old, beaten-up car, blurring the world outside into a murky, indistinct mess. I gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white, and strained to see through the downpour. My wipers struggled to keep up, their rhythmic squeaking adding to my unease. I was alone on a desolate stretch of highway, surrounded by a dense forest on either side. The trees loomed like towering, shadowy specters, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers, ready to snatch me away. The only sound was the thunderous drumming of raindrops on the car, punctuated by the occasional rumble of thunder that sent shivers down my spine. As I pressed on the gas pedal, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. My heart pounded in my chest, each beat resonating in the eerie silence. The headlights cast eerie, shifting shadows on the wet asphalt, playing tricks on my eyes. Was that a figure darting between the trees, or just a figment of my imagination? I glanced at the rearview mirror, and for a moment, I thought I saw a pair of glowing, malevolent eyes staring back at me. My breath hitched in my throat, and I blinked hard, trying to dispel the image. It must have been a trick of the light, I reassured myself. Just nerves playing tricks on me. The road ahead twisted and turned like a snake, disappearing into the darkness. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was lost, that I had strayed into some forsaken realm where the rules of reality no longer applied. Panic gnawed at the edges of my mind, threatening to engulf me. Then, a sudden chill filled the car, and the temperature plummeted. I shivered, the cold seeping into my bones. I fumbled to adjust the heater, but it remained stubbornly cold. That's when I heard it, a faint, disembodied whisper, barely audible above the din of the rain. Turn back. My heart skipped a beat as the words echoed in my ears. I glanced around, but there was no one else in the car. The voice seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere all at once. My hands trembling, I gripped the steering wheel tighter and accelerated, desperate to escape whatever haunted this forsaken road. The rain intensified, turning into a relentless deluge that pounded the car mercilessly. The windshield wipers were now a frenzied blur, and I strained to see through the sheets of water. Thunder rumbled overhead, shaking the very ground beneath me. And then, it happened. A blinding flash of lightning split the sky, illuminating the road ahead with an eerie, spectral light. In that brief, electric moment, I saw them, figures standing in the middle of the road, their eyes glowing like burning coals, their bodies shrouded in tattered, drenched clothes. I slammed on the brakes, the tires screeching on the wet asphalt, but it was too late. My car skidded toward them, and as the lightning faded, I saw their twisted, contorted faces of unimaginable horror. Time slowed as our worlds collided, and I screamed. The impact was deafening, metal against flesh and bone, and then, silence. The rain continued to fall, but the figures were gone. My car sat in the middle of the road, dented and damaged, but there was no trace of the nightmarish apparitions. I sat there, trembling, my heart racing, and I knew I had to get out of there. With trembling hands, I shifted the car into reverse and backed away from the spot where the figures had stood. I drove on through the storm, haunted by the memory of those glowing eyes and the chilling whisper that still echoed in my mind. That night, I learned that some roads should never be traveled alone, especially on a dark and stormy night when the line between reality and nightmare blurs into one terrifying, endless highway to the unknown.